How are you?
How are you?
Horrible.
Really?
Yeah.
How does it feel to be involved in 2 killing games in high school? Danganronpa.
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, no, you're not.
It hasn't.
It hasn't happened yet for your.
And as a director, it hasn't killed me yet.
That's just a game series I absolutely
Oh my
love.
God.
So
I've actually not been able to play the games. Everything I know about the games has been from watching,
Yeah.
clips online and reading wiki entries because I don't have a PS Vita. And who actually does? Well, yeah, I guess people must. The game is huge. Like that was the yeah. But I think that game probably sold more PS Vitas than anything else.
it's definitely one of the big pushes for Vita, for sure.
I don't know. But working on the show is just it's
absolutely
beautiful,
love the way they're
beautiful
doing the
over the
show.
top gallows humor. How can it not be great?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge Tarantino fan, so anything that's tongue-in-cheek, brutally violent, and funny, gimme.
Oh, Monokuma.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
all the
God.
time. I'm just like, Jesus.
That bear. I love that bear so much.
No, I love the way that they're doing the Danganronpa 3, where it's like you get the prequel kind of arc going on for the second game.
3 is amazing so
Yeah.
far. It's way better than I anticipated. Just because
Oh, yeah.
I was totally not expecting them to be so intertwined. The 2 arcs.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Well, like the first episode of the future arc, I'm like, oh, that homework teacher, she's dead.
Yeah.
5 minutes into the episode, I was like, wow, she lasted long.
Yeah, we could totally talk about Danganronpa because there's when we officially started and all that, just because it made a lot of fans mad that I wasn't able to bring back most of the video game cast on the first season, and so now I'm trying to make up for lost time, and it was just not in the cards for me. It was not.
Oh, yeah.
I was told we don't have the budget for it, and it's not that big of a deal. By the time the show finally came out, the game hadn't even come out yet when we started working on the show.
Well, what was it? The game was out in Japan for it had 2 remakes before it was finally launched on the Vita, because it had like a phone game
Yeah.
and a PSP remake.
And they had announced the cast, but there were no clips available of anything. It was like the only way I got Bryce back is because he was already in Texas doing Attack on Titan. I'm like, I would be the biggest dick for not saying, hey dude, you're here, can we do this? So that was like the concession I made with the bosses was, okay, I got Bryce, but I'm not allowed to use anybody else, so then with this new season came out, like, well, you're going to be doing 2 episodes a week. I'm like, 2 episodes a week with a cast of at least 30, 40,
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, there's only one way this is going to work, and that's going to be we're going to have to record LA people in LA. And I'm going to have to split it down the middle if I can, pretty much. I got to keep my booth full in Texas, and we also want to bring in as many of the cool people from the games, and especially people who have a following, people who've worked with Funimation in the past, especially.
Like Johnny Young Bosch in the second game.
Johnny, Kyle, Todd, Patrick, all of them, Christina V, Christine Cabanos, and so there's a lot of people, and it also worked out that Tyler Walker, one of our other directors, is doing Tales of Zestiria. Is that how you say? There's so many tales,
yeah.
right?
Zestiria
is the current one, right?
Yeah.
So, and some of the cast crossed over with my cast. So we were like, well, as long as you're there, go do the thing, do them both. So, and then there was the other fun thing I was able to do was extend an invite to a couple of the original first game cast that I wasn't allowed to bring back before and say, want to play a new character in the anime instead, and so like Keiji Tang and Aaron Fitzgerald, who are both friends of mine that I was like, these are personal friends of mine that I wasn't allowed to work with, gave them a new role that kind of winks and acknowledges at their past roles. So fun.
By the way, I'm Joe from...
Hi, Joe.
Anime.
Who are you people? Who am I? Why am I here?
Think you're Chris?
Yes.
Could be wrong.
Sorry, do we want to do the adult thing and introduce ourselves?
Yeah, that's what I was just
Do it.
I was going to say, my name's Deborah. I'm here from BACN Media. I'm just going to say.
BACN.
Blood alcohol content.
I'm Doug. Yeah, we started it. So
The press panel got a lot more awesome when I found out I can bring my gin and tonic from the bar to the here.
There you go.
Some hotels, they don't allow
Or
that.
we should let him in on the secret container that the bar has to fill with whatever you want.
oh yeah, a lot of
It's a
hotels
hotel
have
secret.
have these containers where if someone walks up, like and it's like a 60 ounce, 20 ounce, and they go fill it with gin. They'll do it.
Nice.
No questions asked, no charge, no nothing. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna put that in start putting those in my convention
But
writers.
it's like,
Yeah.
but in Colorado law, you can't put, you can't necessarily give liquor out in like plastic or paper to go. But the little,
Give me a growler of gin and tonic.
and they go, yeah, it's like,
Nice.
yeah.
I would like 1 jug of Manhattans, please.
Yeah. Give me a bucket of whiskey.
Sorry,
That's
our
great.
alcoholism interrupted introduction.
Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good.
When I'm not doing anime, cocktails and booze is like my biggest, hobby.
Yeah.
I
I don't
even
know.
just got. I
Hobby
just
is a
had.
lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. I in fact just recently had in the past just this summer had 4 of my cocktails published in a new cocktail manual and cocktail
Nice.
book. So yeah. Not even the ones I consider my best work, but hey, people like them.
I actually I was reading a book and they actually mentioned a cocktail. I looked up in a bartender's dictionary and it doesn't exist, and I'm like, cool, I'm
Cool.
making that. So now I'm on a hunt for fictional drinks
There you
to make.
I'm sorry, you're
Joe.
say it again. Joe from
Anime hype.
Anime Hype.
I'm Maris, also Anime Hype.
Just continue with that company. Greg,
Greg.
at least by day.
And continued Jerry.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What do you buy next?
I'm not allowed to say.
Batman.
Yeah, John Cape and nothing else. No.
One punch guy or what?
No, he's naked when he downs the cake.
Ooh.
He just
the cape.
I was
Just
gonna
the
make the
cape.
joke that I was an alcoholic, and then I was like, oh, you just kept talking about booze. It's right in. The joke wouldn't be a joke.
So we started our podcast in our media company because I called them up one night, half-tossed, whining that my then boyfriend wouldn't watch Zoolander with me. And we got into a 25-minute argument/conversation about Firewalk with me and David Bowie.
Nice.
And the
You know,
podcast was
I
born.
can't wait for season 2.
I go to
Or season 3, yeah.
I go to an anime con in Galveston, Texas every Halloween weekend because Halloween is my birthday. So it's a Halloween themed con. They want me there every year. I'm like, great. You bring my girlfriend and my best friends out. It's going to be a party. I'll be there. And this year I was talking to some of the other. There's about 6 or 7 of us who are kind of standing guests every year, and I told all of them, they're like, we should all be different David Bowies for Halloween this year. But then Prince died. I was like, okay, all be different Bowies and Princes.
I don't know if you guys saw them, but there is a spot on Goblin King and Jennifer Connelly.
Nice, I have
cosplay
not yet.
walking around. That is
Ooh, I will be
just
looking out.
gold.
Yeah, because I thought, in fact, I was thinking about doing Firewalk with me Bowie. Would have been my choice.
Yeah.
How would you pull off being all staticky?
Yeah, all right. I would just not show up for my panels.
And then just show up and go, it's not him, and then
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
And that's
We'd have video footage of
Yeah,
me
yeah.
in the panel room, but not during the panel.
It's actually funny you bring up drinking in panels because we didn't do, I'm afraid I didn't do my due diligence on this one. Shut up. And we were gonna try to do our own hosted panel. The ACN presents NDK After Dark on at least Friday and Saturday. Sunday,
I just like watching voice actors get drunk and interact.
And
with
we
each
were
other.
gonna
It's the best
invite-
thing you can ever see.
and try to coordinate the guests of honor and say what kind of booze do you like? It will be there waiting for you, and do a drink during every question that you answer.
Chris Patton has a whole panel that's just
Yep.
Chris shares too much.
Oh, yeah,
and
they're-
which is pretty much just Chris opens his mouth. I'm pretty sure.
So you're back next year.
Yeah.
James, go.
There we go. No,
Or whatever
you're
you're
on the
next-
list, right?
next
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sample as many local IPAs while I'm here too, because
Oh,
I like
you'll be
I
fine.
like the hoppy. I know.
Odell's is
But see,
the-
well, yeah, but see, we get Odell's in Dallas, and we get, of course, we get all the Oscar Blues and Great Divide and Left
I'm impressed
Hand
you guys got
and
Odell's.
Check out the Ska Brewery.
that'd be love the ska stuff too, like their new Modus Mandarina. Oh, that was so delicious.
Do we want to formally start?
We can start
Yeah.
officially with
I figured we were
non-booze
already
questions.
formally
We start with non-booze questions now.
Booze
Well, I
questions.
didn't want to do shop talk until we started. So.
No, that's fine.
I like that shop talk with drinking.
Yeah. I wish I brought my whiskey down.
So what we have in common.
So we actually had the great pleasure last year of interviewing Taliesin Jaffe.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
No, it was delightful.
He's one of my when I said that they have to bring my best friend out to that convention. That's Taliesin. Yeah.
Like I said, no, he was delightful. I know you guys both work doing adaptation of scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more of a collaborative process? Or
No. Well, when we work together, like
Oh, I
we've
mean
tried
in
to find,
general.
like in general, but yeah, but we do. He and I try to find different ways to work together. You know, we've directed a show together. I've written for a game that he directed. He's done some directing for me on shows, and like so, it's always a different kind of collaboration. He was the head writer on Romeo and Juliet that I produced. But when we're doing adaptive scripts, it's very much a lonely process. You're in a room talking to yourself. You know, because if you're not saying the lines out loud, you can't know that an actor can say them out loud. So yeah, sitting in a room, saying the line over and over, rewind, say the line, rewind, say the line. Dang it, I need to add another word. Say the line with another word in there. Nope, now it's too long. I need a shorter word. You know, and it's a very lonely, tedious process of adapting scripts.
Watching the flaps.
Yeah, counting flaps and lots of rewinding and watching again, and lots of talking to yourself.
Did you ever have a project that just frustrated you so thoroughly you had to walk away from it for a little bit?
Wow. Actors. I won't name names, but yes.
I say hell as other people.
Yeah, but as for an actual project, yeah, I wouldn't say like walk away because the deadlines don't allow for it. You know, it's like get it done now, get it turned in. But I have struggled with shows like
rage quit for 10 minutes. And then
yeah, oh
come
yeah,
back.
oh yeah. I found on shows, especially there's a show based on a video game that I worked on with Taliesin called Sengoku Basara. And that show is all over the place. It's all historical, like, you know, ostensibly historical samurai, but many of them have very modern, you know, anachronistic characteristics and language, and all of the characters speak very differently. Some speak very, very classic, traditional, old school samurai Japanese. Some speak very modern Japanese, and some speak in between. So when I would get stuck on a character, I would just stop, and I would like, Date's fun to write. I'm going to go write more Date, you know. So I'll like and work through the Date stuff, then go back to this one character who's given me a giant pain in the butt. You know, find it as like, I'm going to write all the fancy characters together right now and skip around the script and write all the fancy characters because I'm in that frame of mind. And then I'm going to go back and write all the snarky characters. And all that. It's not true. I always write the snarky characters first. It's the easiest for me.
So speaking of like, when we were talking about earlier, Danganronpa, for like video games turned anime, do you find those easier to work with than just straight up anime you're working on from Japan?
No, actually. I think that anything that's got another version is way harder because you've already got a built-in fan base to try and appease. And that's hard because when I look at something like Danganronpa, and you look at it and you know, it was in a position at the beginning of Danganronpa where I was not really allowed to use a lot of the video game cast. It was just not in the budget, in the cards for how our deadlines were working at the time. But then, of course, something happened and that show kind of got put on hold. After we'd recorded it, stuff above my pay grade wasn't worked out yet. So it kind of sat on a shelf for a year and a half. And during that year and a half, the game became a huge, huge phenomenon called classic, you know, called hit. And like Junko Enoshima became like the Harley Quinn of anime cosplay, and it was amazing. But I see as many Junkos at anime cons as I see Harley Quinns at Comic Cons. It's great. But because of that, because you've got this other audience built in, you're never going to be able to make everyone happy, you know. And to me, I make my shows kind of for me. I don't, you know, I try not to be beholden to the hardcore anime fan. It sounds callous, but I don't make anime for anime fans. I try to make good television, you know, and that means it has to be entertaining to everybody and accessible to everybody, not just the hardcore fan. When you're given an opportunity to do something, you've got to do something with a different cast. You've got to make this work, and you already know you're going to be upsetting a built-in fan base. You've got to find a way to make it work in your mind so that it's, something you want to get up and do in the morning. And I think kind of the way I look at Danganronpa the animation versus the video games is that they're very, very, very closely related parallel universes where all of the same things happen, but some of the people sound different.
Right.
And that's what I'm going with.
And speaking on that game, sorry to interrupt real quick.
Oh,
just a
please.
quick question. Which one did you voice first? Was it the anime or the video game?
We recorded, the video game was recorded, then the anime was recorded, then the video game was released, then the anime was released. So we recorded the anime in this window between the time that the cast had recorded and mostly been announced, but before the game had really gotten out there into the public hands. So we didn't know what a cultural phenomenon it was going to be. We didn't know what a huge, hit it was going to be. And I think if they did have an inkling, they would have gone out of their way to try and maybe work with some of the original video game cast. So now that I've got to direct 2 episodes a week of the new season, the only way that 2 episodes a week can possibly get recorded is to really open up our cast list. And that meant, getting in touch with the Danganronpa video game cast that I knew how to get in touch with and say, would you like to come back and reprise your roles, and have that be recording in LA while I'm recording the Texas characters in Texas, and then we marry those things up and hope that those conversations sound like, cohesive conversations. And Christian Lamont, who is my co-director out there, came recommended to me highly by Patrick Seitz and Taliesin Jaffe, so like 2 people I intimately trust with the process, and Christian's just been knocking it out of the park. He's been doing great work for me, so I'm really, really excited to see it come together like that.
Did you jump after the anime as soon as you were done with the game? You're like, okay, I want to direct the anime now.
Well, I had nothing to do with the game. I really didn't work on the
Well,
game at all. So, I only knew of the game because it came before, and it was a thing that existed that the show was being based on. So, because I didn't have any interaction with the game cast directly in the beginning at all. Other than the people that I actually just knew,
Yeah.
I actually became good friends with Keiji Tang, who plays the role I gave myself. he plays Yasuhiro in the games, and I play him in the anime. And when I met him a few months later, I'm like, "Hey, dude, so about this thing, Danganronpa." And he's like, whatever, business. Like, we're in Texas, let's go eat meat. I'm like, great, let's go eat meat. And we've been really good buddies ever since. So he definitely was one of the people I wanted to call when I had an opportunity to expand the cast even more. Like, well, I'm sorry, I'm the anime Hagakure. That's, it's just, I'm keeping the anime cast that we've got. But when new characters from the games are starting to be introduced into the anime world, I'm going to try to bring in some of that video game cast that I can. The future arc, but we've got these future arc characters who are all brand new.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe some of these people from the original Danganronpa game can come in and voice the new characters, since they're not going to be voicing their characters in the animation. I mean, give them new characters. So the way I justified Keiji's character is, if I was casting everything from scratch and I had all of the Texas cast and all of the LA cast at my disposal from the very beginning, and I knew who every single character in the Danganronpa universe was from the very beginning, he would have played Hagakure and I would have played Kizakura. Basically, I gave him the role that I would have been, and so I'm playing like the extreme anime version of Keiji, and he's playing extreme anime version of me. Because I'm pretty sure Kizakura's got a gin and tonic, most of the time, and there are characters like extreme, over the top character trait, caricatures. I think that we have in common with our characters, and that was kind of the fun thing. And then with Erin, because she played one of the roles she played in the game was Genocider Judge in the game, but Fukawa, and she shared that role with Amanda Miller. When I had a chance to brought her in as Seiko, and the new character, another crazy psycho character. I wanted Seiko, the psycho, wink, wink, that she used to be Sho or Jack, And then when you get Seiko's backstory, I'm like, well, we've got Seiko as a little girl. Why not let them share the role again? So I brought in Amanda Miller to play the young Seiko, which I don't think that's even publicly announced yet. That'll be next week's episode. So, spoiler!
So since you have to do 2 episodes a week, what kind of bad habits is that giving you with your production process?
Oh, there's no time for bad habits. There's none. It's get it done or don't. It's honestly, I love the broadcast dub process. A lot of it is, it's kind of going to be, it seems like the new normal for us, or it has been, especially for the past year and a half. And I was very daunted, very scared by the idea of not having this safety net of knowing what's going to happen at the end, or knowing who new characters are going to be. Like, what if I cast this person here, but 6 weeks from now, there's a character that only they could have played, and now I'm stuck. I got to find somebody else because they would have been much better for this one. Maybe I could have taken in the number 2 for this person, and it was like, so it's that putting those puzzle pieces together without having the picture on the box. I guess is the best way to describe it.
A certain amount of carelessness.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
Exactly.
It's
It
fine.
has to. Yeah, and it is. It's shockingly freeing because ask any actor who's worked with me. I'm very meticulous, very specific about what I want, and I always know what I want. Usually
People
know
who
what I
look
want.
back and be like, yeah, I'm fine with this. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but it's okay.
Yeah, no, and I love that. I mean, I always have reads in mind. I always have a thought in mind for how a character should be portrayed or who should even play a character, and I love being surprised. I love bringing in an actor. And that's why I work with really good actors when I can, is that they bring something to the table that I would not necessarily have thought of, and I love that. And it helps too, especially when you're flying by the seat of your pants like this. Is like, oh, great, that's awesome. I never would have thought of that. Moving on, getting it done. But I do love this. I love the fact that I get to turn in episodes on time all the time. The bosses love that I'm not late with stuff anymore. And then that meticulous, very specific nature means that I will spend as much time as I possibly can until you pry that out of my hands. I'm gonna keep, chipping away at getting something beautiful on that.
You don't wake up in the middle of the night screaming an idea for something you turned in the day before.
Probably. I probably do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, you got to let it go. It's working under a deadline, is I can't keep painting the painting forever. Someday it's got to hang on a wall.
As with that dual broadcast, like this week,
Yeah.
episode 8 got delayed a little bit. I believe it was episode 8 that's being delayed till Tuesday.
I think the rest of the season's going to be, remember, at least this new episode, whatever, there's something getting pushed back a day or two.
Is that a nice little break for you?
No.
No?
I don't think that affects my schedule.
Oh, okay.
Release in Japan does not necessarily affect my release. No, in fact, it's just I think we now have 2 fewer days to get the scripts written. Because we're locked into our
Dub release.
our dub schedule. So, oh well.
Speaking of actors and friends, when we interviewed Taliesin, he and I hit it off over our
We refer
shared.
to him as Doug's boyfriend.
Michael, I was a little disappointed. He was. had a
Whew,
girlfriend.
get in line. Yeah,
I know.
He found out he voiced the Flash and it was over.
So we bonded over.
I mean, don't get me started on that. I mean,
Well,
he still lords that over me.
Did he voice the Flash?
That he's like, oh,
Because I talked to him about it's usually Nolan North or what's his name?
You're not helping.
yeah.
I'm not. But he and I bonded over Flash, and I was wondering, other than anime, what other do you have any pop culture obsessions?
That's how Taliesin and I became such best friends. Is that we bonded over comics
Nice.
and Lost. Comics and Lost. Because remember Lost when it was good? And it was on. It was good. It was like I think he's the one who actually sat me down and said, no, you actually have to watch this show. And it was like the summer right before season 3, and we just marathon first 2 seasons of Lost. But actually, how we actually really bonded was over comics. And
What are you reading right now?
Or
I'm so behind in my actual reading
The new
right
Saga
now.
book came out a couple months ago, just saying.
What's that?
The new Saga trade paperback.
I'm about a year and a half, 2 years behind on Saga now, and it's bad. It's bad. I've really dropped off in my reading more so than I really ever thought I would.
What did you read religiously before you dropped off?
Most good Marvel stuff. I cut the cord with DC after New 52. After they stopped telling stories about the characters that I invested thousands of dollars in, I was done. But yeah, Saga for sure. I love anything Mike Mignola touches.
Oh, yes.
Anything Hellboy,
Huge influence.
BPRD. Anything Darwin Cook, rest in peace, had his fingers in. Huge fan of that. So yeah.
Our New Frontier was beautiful.
I finally Taliesin will be so proud of me. I finally read the first. That was the last thing I read was the first volume of Wicked and Divine. And
which one?
The Wicked and the Divine.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Freaking great. I love McKelvey and Gillen, right? Great stuff. So we were huge Marvel nerds. Is how we kind of became friends. In fact, he and I had a secret hidden wiki that I started, where he and I were casting the entire Marvel universe. It's basically just a thought experiment. It was like, if we could cast the entire Marvel universe with our friends, Texas actors, LA actors, New York actors, whatever, how would we do it?
Sounds awesome.
And we had rules for it too. It's like, there's thousands and thousands of characters. So if anyone gets to double up, they don't get to double up in the same world. So if you're an Avengers villain, you don't get to be an Avenger. If you're an Avenger, you could maybe be an X-Men villain.
I think you just.
But
gave
you
us
can't.
everything you know.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Cast the entire Marvel universe. And we had this whole wiki that we had like broken down. Like, okay, here's our list of people that we would want to be in it, and here's some of their vocal types, and here's all the characters, and like here's as many of the characters we could possibly think of that would come up in a significant way, and then just started throwing names at them, and it's like
Do you remember your favorite idea for that?
God, I'm trying to remember some of them. I remember Taliesin wanted to be Nova, Richard Rider. I always like will always want to be Hawkeye. Always, it is my number one dream role is playing Clint Barton, and always has been. With a very close second being Hank Pym. So, like proper Hank Pym, not Scott. I need you to be the Ant-Man. I mean, it was great, but it was not. What's that?
If I'm not being more emotionally invested in the heroes or the villains.
It depends, because Doctor Doom's one of my other favorite characters, but really that's only in Jonathan Hickman's hands. Anything Hickman wrote for Marvel, I think, was like some of my favorite stuff. Since he was doing Secret Warriors, I was calling him Marvel's Grant Morrison. He's like that out there with the big ideas. So yeah, he blows me away. I did read Multiversity. That was the last DC comic I actually paid money for, because Grant Morrison, big fan. So.
Oh, yeah.
I love Morrison.
Was fortunate enough to interview him over the radio once. A good friend of mine has a comic book podcast radio show in Dallas called Fanboy Radio. You guys heard that? Mm-hmm. Scott Hines. Scott called me up one day and said, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" I'm like, "I'm working. It's a Wednesday. What do you think I'm doing?" He's like, "Well, man, that sucks. Everyone else I talked to is working too, and I don't have a co-host, and I need a co-host to interview Grant Morrison." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what time?
Yeah.
What time do you want me to be there?" Great. I can take a long lunch. I can take the afternoon off.
To listen to.
Have you
Yeah.
read
Yeah.
his book Super Gods?
I haven't yet. And I saw, but although I went to last Comic-Con, he had a panel on Super Gods and stuff, and I saw him talk about it. It was very cool.
What's your muse? And by that I mean, like, what gets the juices flowing? Maybe how you get over writer's block, or how you just get in the zone, whether it's booze or other things that you're inspired by. Like, I as a person who likes to write creatively a little bit too,
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I listen to like a lot of music, and then I see a scene in my head, and I'm very visual, but then I translate it into text. What do you do?
As a writer, I absorb as much dialogue as I can. I love watching movies with smart and or clever dialogue. That's why I'm really drawn to things like Tarantino, the Coen brothers, Kevin Smith, because their dialogue is so vivid. So those are like the kinds of people I look up to, especially as both a director and a writer. Is like, this is taking fun, engaging dialogue that's not necessarily real, but you buy it because of it, the way it's presented. That really inspires me for sure. I like creating cocktails. I have an insanely expensive home bar and a really unhealthy collection of cocktail bitters. I've got well over 60 different kinds of bitters at home.
Wow.
Yeah, and those things you use a dash at a time, so it's not like I'm going through them very fast either. And I make my own bitters, make my own cocktails and infusions and stuff like that. Even just got published this summer. My first 4 cocktails, published. So that's like my big hobby, and that as another totally different creative pursuit that uses entirely different part of my brain. Really is like, okay, now I can go back and do this fresh. Now I can go watch cartoons again.
Do you watch a lot of cartoons still?
Not the ones that I don't work on so much. No, it's really hard to. It's hard to watch it and not be critical, and it's hard to find the time. That's really the biggest part is, like, I'm dying to get through Rick and Morty. I'm dying to get through some of BoJack Horseman, and I'm dying to see any of, like, I've seen maybe 2 episodes of Adventure Time. These are things that I need to educate myself on anyways, because they're You know, they're my contemporaries. They're in the zeitgeist alongside the work I'm putting out into the world. So I want to make sure I'm still relevant by watching relevant things. But yeah, finding the time is not always easy.
When I'm drinking and watching cartoons, it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's true.
Especially in blanket fort, wearing a cape and nothing else.
I'm just wearing my TARDIS t-shirt.
Jerry?
So you say you're particularly like hypercritical of just like anything that you've directed, or just like voice actor work? Or
It's like it's the part of my brain that's been so fine tuned over the past several years, 15 years or whatever that I've been working in anime, that it's, if you're a chef, you're going to be extra critical of any food you eat, and any restaurant you go to, you're going to be like,
Stop giving me that look, please.
when you're, and that, that's the same sort of idea, is that this is, this is something I do, and yes, and not always going to want it, I'm tearing it down, like, oh my God, that sucks, and that sucks, and that sucks, but I want to listen for it. It's hard to not hear the little diction errors, and to hear the things, the timing issues that seem weird. It's hard, your brain becomes hyper-tuned to those things that are wrong, so you go, oh my God, that jumps out at me. You're even listening to the radio and you hear a DJ who's such extra breathy and smacky between each sentence. You're like, oh God, just change the channel. Because it's that sort of thing that I have to listen to for work. I'm like, oh no, that's the kind of thing I don't allow in my show. Why do you put that on the air? So yeah, it is hard, but there's, obviously when the time comes to actually sit down and just watch something for fun, I'm not trying to pick it apart. I'm trying to watch it for a diversion, trying to watch it for its entertainment, value.
And then kind of in that line, we've heard a few directors
Mhm.
that you really like, storytelling and such. As far as voice acting or acting, is there anyone that you kind of see through like the limelight?
Yeah, actors and voice actors, yes. Have to mention Gene Wilder, of course.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of my biggest, can we just lock up all the rest of my favorite people this year? Because we've only got 3 months left or 4 months, can we just get through it and not have anybody awesome die? Yeah, can we lock up Michael Keaton and Jeff Bridges just in case, Yeah, there you go, Bill Murray. Yeah, Michael Keaton, Jeff Bridges, Gene Wilder have been huge influences on me for years. As far as voice actors, Billy West, obviously Mel Blanc, he's the one who gave us all jobs. He created our career, and people like Phil Lamar, who's awesome, and I've been fortunate enough to meet Billy West, Phil Lamar, and they're both amazing people and incredibly gracious folks. And Frank Welker is my other enormous influence. I love doing creatures and animals and stuff. I've played, I think, more creatures and animals and stuff than just about anybody else at Funimation in my time. They get shared out a bunch, but I play a lot of dogs, and I've played, space anemones and giant, Godzilla-looking creatures, and you name it, just because it's the kind of thing that I really enjoy doing. And Frank Welker is the master at that. He's the current Scooby-Doo, and he's Nibbler, and he's just, oh my God, the noises he can make are just mind-boggling. So
And he's from Colorado.
Is he?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I think
Yeah.
is it Boulder? Does anyone know?
I don't remember, but yeah, I know he.
But
grew
yeah,
up
he's
here.
from Colorado.
Yeah, he's amazing. And then back in anime, I'm, as a director too, hugely enamored with the work of Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. She set the bar for all of us with Cowboy Bebop, and it's the kind of thing I've been striving for ever since I've been a director, is her approach to it, to how anime works and how voiceover works in that world, is just really great. Also, awesome person. I was lucky enough to have dinner with her and Steve Bloom when they were in Dallas a few months ago, and super cool. That was actually a lot of people there, actually, but Dan Slott, got to have.
Oh, Dan Slott.
Yeah, Dan Slott, writer for Spider-Man and many other amazing things. Super awesome guy. To call him the nicest guy in comics would probably make Paul Cornell mad, because he's the nicest guy in comics that I've met so far. But they'd have to have a nice guy fight.
Nice off.
A nice off, yeah. Two of the sweetest, greatest guys, yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm I'm sorry, Dan. I know I'm the comic. You're the only comic book writer, and all the rest of these people here are voice actors and stuff. But I'm going to monopolize your time, and let's talk about Spider-Man and Great Lakes Avengers, please. So.
Do you have a project that you passed on that you regret?
No, No. I mean, part of being at Funimation, I'm a full-time employee, so I get what I get, you know, and I've been very, very fortunate in my career to get to work on tons of shows that I've actually requested to work on. I've gotten to work on, literally my holy grails of shows. You know, Beck, after Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, get to work with Taliesin Jaffe, become best friends working on this show together and just having this game of one-upmanship with each other. And and it was a show that was like, it was in the works and we were trying to get the rights to for like 2 years before we finally got to work on it. We didn't think it was going to work out. And finally it happened, like, oh my God, we're going to do this. And so it was like, you know, a holy grail show. A few years later, Michiko and Hatchin. Was like, the minute I saw the first trailer for that, I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. I need this show in my life. And the rights like got lost in limbo. There were like, no one had U.S. rights for it. Some like French company bought worldwide rights to the show for some reason, and then didn't do anything with it before they went out of business. So finally, like 4 or 5 years later, my boss calls me like, hey, guess who show we're getting? I'm like, what? He's like, Michiko. I'm like, no! He's like, I get it, right? I get to work on it, right? He's like, yes. So that has been my, you know, absolute grail of a show that, you know, finally after 4 years of never thinking I was ever going to get to work on it ever, got to do it. 1 minute, wrap it up. Who wants the room?
We can take this to the bar.
Yeah. Quick question, I'll be less wordy. No? No more? All right.
Piggyback, as long as you get one more. And is there one that you took that you regret then? If you
No. I mean, that's the thing too. That's the hard thing too. Is there's shows you don't like as much, but it's like saying, you know, I don't like my third daughter as much. You know, I don't have any children. I'm not. This is.
Right.
You know, but yeah, these are all my children. I can't say I love one more than the other. I do love some more than the others though. But you have to find something you love. Even in a show that's assigned to you that you didn't think you're gonna, you know, enjoy working. Like, I didn't think I was gonna like Heaven's Lost Property at all. I'm like, oh God, it's just gonna be a panty booby show. And then I watch it like, oh my God, this is an anime version of like Weird Science and Zapped. This is like anime teen 80s sex comedy, and I love it. So yeah, you find something to love in every show. Otherwise, the audience can tell. The audience can tell when you don't care, when you're half-assing it. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.